All right, we'll be tying a strip wing steelhead fly. I tie it on a 1/0 partridge Bartlett bend hook. So I'm going to start my thread up here halfway up the return eye. And it's not necessary to do on these flies, but I always build a tapered underbody on my flies. So to build a tapered underbody, I'm going to come back about 5 turns beyond the return eye, and then I'm going to wrap back forward just about 4 turns shy of where I started my thread, and then I'm going to come back, go 6 or 7 wraps beyond, back forward. You got to keep the thread nice and flat and side to side wraps. Kind of a time consuming process, but I just think it makes the fly look nicer, so I do it. Like I said, it's not a necessary step, but so I'm going to quit when my thread hangs between the point and the barb. That's where I want to start. First step I'm going to do after I build my underbody is called burnishing, and I'm just going to rub that thread down flat, make it nice and smooth, burnish all the way around it. I'll wax my thread to tighten it up. And we're going to put what's called a tip in, which is just to keep floss from slipping on a tag. I'm using a fine blue oval tinsel. And I tie it in on the far side of my hook. I'll take like 3 wraps forward. I'm just going to tie in a six wraps of this stuff. Tie it out. Trim the excess. Now I'm going to wrap forward up the shank. About 1/4 of an inch. Where I got good free movement in front of the point of that hook. And then I'm gonna cut me off a chunk of, it's called Jungle Cock Orange JEC silk floss. It's a single strand floss. Tie it in, take one wrap. I'm gonna wrap down to my blue tip. And back up, side by side wraps. Take one more wrap to secure it good, and then I'm gonna burnish that floss, smooth it out a little bit. Then we're gonna tie in a ostrich hurl butt. So same, you want to make sure you got the concave part of the ostrich hurl facing upwards when you tie it in. Take like 3 wraps of ostrich hurl on it, make a little bud on it. And I'm going to take a flat tinsel. I'm going to tie it in at a pretty much the 6 o'clock position, maybe just like a 6, kind of where it's wanting to be underneath, but it's kind of on the side, on the far side away from me. And I'm going to wrap all the way forward. And I'm going to get some more JEC flat floss. This will be a burnt orange is the color I use. Tie it in, take a wrap, same as the tag, wrap down and back, edge to edge wraps. Come back forward, back to your tie-in spot. Get off your excess. I'm going to burnish the body. Going to get all the hills and valleys out of it. I'm going to rib it with 4 ribs. And I take this is a streamer neck. I'm going to take the biggest, webbiest feather out of the back end of it I can get. It's a bright orange. I like this long, lots of movement to it in the water. So I'm going to open it up. So I want it long past this bend of my hook even for I tie it in on the close side to me. Just hackle it and pull it back. I want it just everything flowing, just like if the water was catching it, that hackle. I want to leave it on top. I'm not pulling any of it underneath the shank or anything. And you can imagine what that hackle's going to look like in the current when you can just blow on it and it's got so much movement to it. Okay, we got dyed turkey tails. There's our front side, and you can tell the front side because the reaches of the stem here is going to be smooth to everything, and the back side protrudes out. So I always keep the back side of the feather toward me, and I take the left-hand side of it and I cut my slips off, and I cut about 6 slips, and you straighten the feather out and you lay it down to where it's up. And I'm going to take the orange turkey, maybe, if I can get a hold of it. And I'm going to cut, same thing, 6 slips. I'm going to lay it down. I like 6 slips. And if you notice on the slips how there's a taper, so when I'm building this left-hand wing, I must go from left to right. So I'm going to lay that down. I'm going to bring my black feather in. Press them with my thumb. Just run my finger up it. It just sews them together. And then I'm just going to start bringing them together like that and working them. And I'm going to pick it up and just keep working the fibers. And then you take them, you get a pinch them with each end, and you twist them back and forth, and it locks them together. And I'm going to lay it back upside down just like that. And I'm going to take my fibers, I'm going to go back and do the same thing from the right side. And I'm going to build it kind of the same way. Then I'm going to once I get it to where I want it, I'm going to lay it on top of the first one I built. And I'll be ready to pick it up and start shaping the wing. And then I'm going to pick up my fibers back to back where they look the same on both sides, and keep them slid together. And then the next process is called humping the wing to get it to lay the way you want. So what you do is you get a hold of the back end of it and let loose, and you just start rolling the fibers to where they roll, and then re-grab every time. And you can shape this wing in any shape you want, but you gotta allow them fibers to slip through your fingers to hold a shape. So what I'm looking for is a shape when I run it through here that it's gonna stay fairly low on it. So I'm gonna run it through the fibers to get ready to tie it in, and I want this wing to come right to the bend of my hook. So once I get it to the bend and it's straight up and down over my shank, I'm gonna reach over and I'm gonna grab that, and then I'm gonna pinch. I mean, you gotta pinch it tight. I'm gonna take this thread, I'm gonna run it up parallel, and I'm gonna hook it back through my thumb where I can let that thread hang there and it's still not touching my fibers. And then I'm gonna take and I'm gonna pinch this front piece. I'm gonna let that thread slip down onto the turkey, and then I'm gonna start working that thread down to where that wing is fiber, and then I'm gonna grab my thread and pull it. I'm gonna make 2 wraps. And you keep pinching, and you should be able to turn loose, and it should set there. You want it to where it's straight out over your hook. And once you get it set to where you want it, like it is now, I'm satisfied with that. I'm gonna take, and I wanna put some serious, almost to the breaking point of this thread, 3 more wraps on it. Then I'm ready to cut it off. Once I get it cut off to where I can see what's going on, I'm gonna get right in there pretty close. Now I'm ready to finish the head of my fly. I'm gonna make sure it's waxed good where it'll hold. Take my Sharpie. half hitch on it, lock it in tight. Take my head cement and put a nice glass head on it. The fly's finished. We use this fly on the Ground Round River in October, September, and off-colored water. And we fish it a lot on our home river in the John Day, in off-colored water. Swims really nice, and lots of movement, and we've caught fish on it. Yeah, and that's the finished orange Hourhouse that we finished. That's the finished product of it.